The Supreme Court's big decision on Bar Association. In fact, the Supreme Court has now ordered a 33% reservation for women in the Bar Association. In fact, the Supreme Court has also reserved the post of the treasurer for a woman candidate. In fact, 3 out of 9 working committee posts have also been reserved. Ashish Bhargav, our colleague who tracks the Supreme Court for us, is now joining us live. So, Ashish ji, this is an important decision given the fact that this comes right ahead of the Bar Association polls. What are some of the reactions that have come in?
Yeah, many women lawyers are very happy. In fact, a few women lawyers will come to us, will speak to us also after some time because court is working now. It's a big major development we can say because this women reservation in Supreme Court Bar Association is now it's a beginning phase and ahead of only 40 days left for election. May 16 will be SCBA election will be held and it's a big judgment, big interfere by the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said there will be reservation, 1/3 reservation for women in Supreme Court Bar Association. It means okay, now women empowerment is beginning from right from Supreme Court Bar Association. Maybe it will lead to the High Court Bar Association also, Trial Court, Lower Courts Bar Association also, but it's a beginning right from the Supreme Court Bar Association. And Supreme Court said okay, this time the post of treasurer will be reserved for a woman candidate also. It's a we can say it's a big boost for the women empowerment in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court every time Supreme Court many times Supreme Court gave judgment or directed to have more women in legal field also, and it's a big major interfere by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court also said there will be debate, there will be public notice also by the Supreme Court Bar Association on its website also, have a notice also, and the member of the Supreme Court Bar Association will give suggestion to Bar Association that will be compiled by the Executive Committee and implement the suggestion also, and Supreme Court will hear next, and Supreme Court asks for these suggestion and reports also. It means Supreme Court is not giving right now this matter. Supreme Court will hear again also. This is a big judgment we can say.
Certainly,
because and now a treasurer post for the SCBA election which will be held on May 16, treasurer post will be reserved for women.
Right, certainly a progressive move there. Ashish Bhargav, thanks very much for joining us with that live update. Also joining us now on the broadcast, Flavia Agnes, one of India's most prolific women's rights lawyer. Ms. Agnes, your response to this, do you think it's a progressive step towards ensuring inclusivity and diversity within the association? Because there have been complaints that if the Bar Association doesn't truly or isn't truly representative of women, and perhaps it needs to expand its horizons.
Yeah, I think it's a very big move. There are many women today practicing law in the courts, etc., but they don't get a representation, and there is a male monopoly that's going on. So this will really help to break that and give women a chance in leadership positions within the bar body.
Right, Ashima Mandla is also with us, lawyer of the Supreme Court. But Ms. Agnes, very quickly before I go across to Ashima Mandla, as a women's rights lawyer, you and many other women lawyers, in fact lawyers across the board, have said that it's important for for the Supreme Court to give reservation within the bar body, particularly when it comes to matters of sexual harassment and cases related to that. How do you see this affecting the bar's stand, the bar's policies vis-a-vis such cases?
Seriously think so, because there is a lot of sexual exploitation that goes on. There is a big divide between the seniors and the juniors, and the juniors are very vulnerable regarding this, particularly young women lawyers, junior lawyers. So I think this is a very big boost to make the bar bodies gender compatible and give women dignity and a space in the positions of decision making. I think the Supreme Court has done a great service for women lawyers and women in the legal profession.
Absolutely, Ms. Agnes. Stay on with us. Ashima Mandla is also with us. Ms. Mandla, your response to this, how critical is it for young lawyers like yourself to perhaps take on positions of power within the Bar Association?
And I think it's an absolutely welcome move because now we will be shifting trends from the body being an all-boys club, if you may say so, because right up till about now, women were mostly standing up for candidature, posting their candidature only in the member executive body. And very few of them were actually coming up for the post of the president, vice president, treasurer, or secretary, or joint treasurer, or joint secretary for that matter. So this is definitely in sync with even the parliament's big move of women reservation bill. So that effect is trickling down right to the Supreme Court Bar Association body. So definitely it gives a lot of encouragement for youngsters and for women in general to come up and take positions of power. And that will show, of course, definitely a big step towards inclusivity. And so far as I heard you asking the question on sexual harassment, that is seems to be prevalent across bar bodies. But for that, the Supreme Court does have a gender sensitization committee in force in light of the judgment passed in Vishaka's judgment as well as the POSH Act. So the Supreme Court, for a number of years, has already constituted a gender sensitization body, which has predominantly women members to address exactly these kind of issues. So that is one part which they had already taken care of. This would ensure that more women cases are coming up in the forefront. And of course, it'll be good to see if other bar associations also take cue from this, and soon we have something like that in, say, the BCI, the Bar Council of India body, or across the different court bodies as well. So that will definitely be a welcome move for everybody.
So certainly a welcome move there. Flavia Agnes continues to be with us. Ms. Agnes, the Chief Justice has consistently said that this, old boys club needs to be broken, and that it's upon the veterans to sort of ensure that the legal fraternity and the environment is conducive to more women lawyers. Do you see the Supreme Court being consistent and walking the talk on this?
I think this judgment will help a great deal in breaking down barriers and paving the way for women to take positions of decision making within bar bodies. I think it's a great step, and a lot of women will get their confidence now to remain in the profession as well as take volunteer to go to stand for elections and take on positions of decision making in the future. So I welcome this move, and I think it's a great thing that is coming from Supreme Court for the women lawyers within the legal profession.
Right, Ms. Agnes, thanks very much for joining us with that. And Ms. Ashma Mandla, the fact that this decision comes right ahead of the Bar Association polls, quick word on how difficult is it for women lawyers to actually get through the elections, and if they indeed wish to stand for elections, how difficult is it to network, to campaign, because that also was one consideration while the Supreme Court made this observation.
So, of course, given that it's coming at the 11th hour, it will have both a positive and a negative side to it. The positive being, of course, it's bringing in we're welcoming arms. They are bringing in people, women candidature at this stage. But, of course, at the 11th hour, for somebody to float a campaign within 40 days is, of course, going to have its own limitations as well. But in all zest, I'm sure the campaigning has just nearly about begun, because we've just concluded with the Supreme Court AOR Association elections as well. And we can only hope that perhaps this same also extends to the AOR Association body, what has come for the SCBA.
Right, Ms. Mandla, thanks very much for joining us with that. It's certainly a welcome move there. All those reactions coming in from women lawyers after the Supreme Court announced a 33% reservation for the Bar Association.